Everyone. This first full week in December, and welcome to Rise Up Breathwork. A little breathing, a little meditation, a little contemplating today, and hope everyone is doing well and healthy and finding some joy in life. So before we get started today, there are a couple events coming up this week and in the following week. So tomorrow, Wednesday, tomorrow afternoon at 1, Anna will be here with her podcast, sharing that love of yoga. And then tomorrow evening, doors will open at 7, starting at around 7:30. I'll be doing like a sound bath and light breathing for anyone that would like to come in. And then Friday night I just got to look. So Friday night with Integrative Recovery, Kathleen's going to be coming in and sharing a recipe for, hold on 1 second, I forgot what it was. Fire cider, which will be super fun. And then Saturday, DJ Rugged One will be here from 12 to 3, spinning that vinyl and sharing that love of music. And just a note that the following Saturday, the 16th, will be the holiday party. And we'll see if there's anything specific with that. Annual holiday gathering, ugly sweaters are always encouraged, which is always fun. And please bring a wrapped gift as well, worth $25. And that's going to be for Toys for Tots. So that will be the events coming up within the next week. So I hope to see you all here. Yeah, and I'm just going to invite you just to sit and find a comfortable space. Yeah, and just kind of tune in to your breath for a moment, tuning into the chair that you're sitting on or the surface that you lay upon. Just kind of tuning into the sensation of the chair or the floor or the bed or the pillow and how it feels when making that connection to your body. So just kind of bringing the mind's attention to that connection and just feeling into that. Breathing into it. Maybe allowing for both surfaces of the body and the floor or chair becoming a little bit lighter, a little bit softer. Maybe even a sensation of the two joining together and becoming one, so that there is no distinction between the body and the surface that you lay upon or sit upon. Maybe inviting in, checking with your heart space and how you are and where you are with that today. Bringing our mind's attention to the heart, maybe starting off with the beating of the heart. And how is that for you in this moment? Well, maybe while we're bringing our attention to the beating of the heart, may it begin to soften or to slow down as we bring our attention to that. Bring our focus to the softening of the heart rate. And just breathing in any way that naturally works for you right now. Can you feel a softening of the heart? Maybe even around the heart or behind it. Yeah, and then just dropping back into the body as a whole. Just kind of checking the system now. How are you feeling after a few moments of just kind of tuning in lightly to our body? Yeah, so what was kind of coming up for me this week a little bit, or not personally, but just maybe something more for the collective that I was just kind of receiving. I won't go into what I was dealing with this week. Um, hmm. Sometimes, maybe we begin this exploration into self, maybe developing a relationship with self, or maybe beginning to understand like how we feel with different moments and things that arise. And sometimes as we're beginning this journey, or if you're doing work with someone, a lot of times we may start to question things, or fear may arise. And sometimes we may have that fear of failure, of maybe not doing it right, or um, am I doing what this person suggested or asked me to do, or um, maybe whatever it may be when we start this discovery. And with failure, I feel like sometimes that maybe we should change how we view what is failure. And sometimes, like for my own journey, I feel like when that arises within me, it's this like form of passing judgment on myself. I'm not good enough. Am I doing this right? I'm not going to do this because I'm just not too sure if it's right or wrong. Or I may not find success right away. And so, like, sometimes I just feel as though, even if it's an athletic performance or whatever it may be, whatever that thing is, and so I just really feel as though it's like a way of passing judgment on to oneself. Or maybe even another layer underneath that may might be like also comparing or comparison, comparing ourselves to others, and where someone else may be on their journey, where someone else may be within their ability to draw or do art or an athletic performance. And so, and a lot of times as we shift through life, we're comparing ourselves to others and trying to stand up to where they may be, or trying to match that. And so with failure, like that combination of a way of passing judgment on self, comparing self to others, when really we are, as individuals, so beautifully unique. So let's just take a moment and let's breathe into that uniqueness of who you are. So I might invite you to bring in an inhale through the nose and an exhale through the mouth. Just finding that breath, breathing into the stomach, and just tuning in again, tuning the mind into this breath. Maybe allowing self to become more present with this breath, allowing for the breath to bring the system into balance a little bit. Maybe just giving yourself a break. And we just want to stay conscious of the breath that we are breathing. And then as you're dropping into this breath, I invite you to allow for your uniqueness to arise within your thoughts, an invitation to maybe discover uniqueness within yourself that maybe you never thought of before. And just taking 2 or 3 breaths into each thing that comes up for you, which is unique about who you are. What's unique about yourself, your energy, who you are. just naming what's arising, honoring your uniqueness. Breathing into it, maybe allowing for the out breath to be an acceptance of this energy, this unique energy, quality for who you are. And to honor that with the out breath as we breathe into the feeling of that uniqueness. Staying with the breath through the nose, out through the mouth. Now just inviting in an inhale through the nose, holding at the top, and on the exhale, I invite you to explore how your body is feeling energetically when we bring in these thoughts of our uniqueness, of who we are. Yeah, and then just settle into that in a quiet space. Just tuning the mind now back into the body. And how is your system feeling when we bring up our uniqueness? How does it make you feel, maybe? Just enjoying the silence for a moment. And just breathing in any way that suits you right now in this moment. So, our uniqueness, our gifts, when we start to explore new things or new avenues, and that fear comes up like with that thought or feeling of failure. And so maybe exploring the idea of that you are unique in your own way, and that maybe if we are feeling that sensation of failure coming up, or it's coming up within the mind, what if, instead of going down that road of comparing, judging our performance, how we're doing, am I doing this right? What if we looked at everything as like a science experiment almost? We're bringing in our unique qualities into whatever that thing may be. If it's work related, if it's healing related, if it's raising your children related, or family, or there's so much that we can look at, right? And so when we look at things like, say, as like an experiment, what are we going to do if it does not go correctly? Well, then we kind of re-examine, right? We can look at things that went well within it, within whatever the thing is. We can also take a look at the things that maybe did not work, and maybe there are parts of things that didn't work that were actually good, but maybe we just kind of need to reconfigure how we're doing it, or what we're doing with it exactly, like a little tweak to it. So just because something wasn't 120% successful doesn't mean that it was a failure. We could be on the right pathway. And remembering that we are bringing in our uniqueness, our qualities that are beautiful, that are not the same qualities of anyone else. It's just ours to own. And so, instead of looking at it as the whole thing as a collective, like the whole event, right, being a failure, what if we chose to look at it like an experiment and kind of break it down? I had a situation this week that I'm still working on right now. As soon as I'm done with this, I'm going to have to go back and deal with it. And, it's just something didn't work. It didn't work out exactly how I thought. Created some minor problems. But there were some good aspects of what I had done. Made some changes to something that I was doing from before. And some of the changes were good. Some of them were not so good. And some of the not so good ones just actually really just needed to be tweaked a little bit. Like, I kind of looked at them and was like, all right, this part really didn't work out too well for me, but I tweaked it just a little bit differently. So it's still the same thing, kinda, but I just kind of tweaked it in a manner that that I did this morning, actually, before I came in. And I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, now that actually looks better, and feels better to me. Yeah, I'm not going to get into what I was doing, but it's not like a big deal. But but I could have easily just been super frustrated and gone into that anger, that sense of failure, and then there's that discomfort that rises within the body. Maybe we're not thinking as clearly as we should. Maybe our system becomes a little bit more activated. Our nervous system is on edge. And if I had allowed for myself to go down that road, or maybe I did get really frustrated for a minute, which I did do, but I kind of gave it like a limit. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to give myself a minute to just be pissed, And then after that, I was like, okay, now let's take that energy, breathe into it for a minute, bring the system back down. And then let's reevaluate this experiment that I'm doing, this project. What's working, what's not working that I need to drop completely, what's not working that maybe could work but just needs to be tweaked a little bit differently, what is working well, and even if something's working well, can I enhance it and make it even a little bit better? And so failure can arise within our lives in so many different ways, and it can arise like, how are we dealing with it with our loved ones? How are we dealing with it with our children? Are we, you know, hmm, are we honoring ourselves for, being open to trying something a little bit different, stepping through that fear, that unknown? And maybe one of the chains that stops us from stepping into something new, something different, is that sense of failure that may come while we are going through a learning process. So maybe if we just kind of re-look at it, redefine it for ourselves, then maybe we can start changing the energy of that sense or fear of failure. And possibly, maybe for yourself, we can discover ways of looking at it a little bit differently. Like, do I really want to compare myself to others? Do I want to pass that judgment on myself? Or maybe I just look at it in the form of the experiment and maybe breaking down the parts of it and looking at the different parts. And then tweaking it in a manner to coincide with our uniqueness of who we are. So I'm going to invite you back into the breath again for a moment. And so this time I'm just going to invite in a quick inhale through the nose with a longer exhale. So an extended exhale, a little bit shorter inhale. And I'm just going to invite you for a moment to maybe bring up something that is that may have that sense of fear for you, and maybe even that sense of, I'm nervous about doing something, am I doing it right, or anything that may be alive within your journey, within your life right now, that may coincide with what I'm talking about. So tap into your breath for a moment. First, let's just find the breath first. Allowing yourself to do a little bit shorter inhale, maybe a little bit longer exhale out through the mouth. maybe shutting down your eyes for a moment. And through the breath right now, as we begin this, just tapping into, like, how is your nervous system feeling right now? Is there parts of it that are activated? You just want to breathe into and let calm down for a moment. Maybe just coming into that space of stillness, or maybe coming to that place of movement. And we can have movement with the stillness within our system. Just because we're moving or swaying a little bit doesn't mean that we're not really still, right? Staying conscious of the breath. And even here, allowing for self to forget that you're breathing in a pattern and that you changed it. And that's okay. There's space here for that. We can create space for ourselves to allow that forgetfulness, because it's not failure. It's just, we're just working on something and we just lost it for a moment. And when we just acknowledge that, just be like, oh yeah, let's tune back into this. It really is about our words, how we choose to speak to ourselves. And when we're viewing stuff like failure, it's this direction of how are we going to confront it with words, with how we're going to maybe view it, define it. So just inviting in now, just maybe an example of just breathing into something that's current for you. Just bringing up the situation within your mind. And then once you have the thing, whatever it is, I invite you to now breathe into the body whenever you're ready. And seeing if we can let go of the thoughts. And can we tap into how that feels within your system? Where do you feel it? Feel it in your neck, your stomach, heart, legs, bounciness, agitation, combination of a whole bunch of stuff. But just recognizing how the body is responding to this event for you. Of something that is current, that is bringing up that, maybe that fear of failure. And just breathing with this for one more moment, just lightly feeling the energy. And then on your next inhale, breathe all that energy up to the crown, up to the top of the head. And on the exhale, I'm just going to invite you to blow all that energy that comes up with that out to the world around you. And then just sit for a moment. Just sitting in this energy of when we release that energy that's maybe not really serving us, that has that judgment, that comparing, and just how does it feel when we release it? Maybe the body becomes a little bit more expansive, maybe not as tight, more relaxed, maybe the shoulders drop, maybe the eyes soften. Maybe the throat relaxes. And then now I'm just going to invite you for a moment just to bring up within the mind, like, how is there a way we could break this down and look at it in a different light, in a light of that experiment, breaking things down a little bit more, maybe recognizing where our fear is coming from, maybe recognizing the parts of it that may or may not work, but how can we explore the options? How can we look at parts of it that may not feel right? And can we become a little bit inviting in that creativity within ourselves to discover how we may tweak this so that it's not a failure, it's just an experiment. And let's just see how can we, how can we make it a little bit better? And we may go through this process a few times, right? Maybe permissioning yourself to go through the process a few times. Breathe that in for a moment. Permissioning yourself to go through the process, working on the different parts of it, allowing for the parts to either work or not work, and allowing for that creative force within us to maybe see the way more clearly through whatever mistake or thing may not have worked out the way we thought it would. In this last minute, maybe just even allowing for the beautiful energy and how that may feel of that creative part of you that we could honor and allow for that to grow. It's just an invitation here to bring in one more breath hold, bring it all the way up to the top. Nice deep inhale through the nose. And then just letting it all go. And just dropping back into your system. And as you're dropping back into the system, I'm just going to invite in just tapping your whole body. Just tap everything. Just the stomach, the chest, the legs, the knees, the feet, calves. Just tap everything. Just get the energy kind of moving, shifting throughout the body. Stand up if you wish to. Do it sitting down. Do it laying down. Tap lightly. Tap a little bit harder in certain areas. Just kind of feel into it. Allowing for your system to shift and move any energies through the tapping, through the pushing, maybe even just pushing, on the muscles or, whatever is coming to light for you. Maybe moving the head for a moment, circling the head, twisting the back, maybe rotating. Yeah, and then just kind of settling back into your space. And just bringing that awareness lightly to your breath and how you breathe naturally. And so, I hope that maybe this finds you today of the sense of failure that comes up for all of us at times. Maybe it's not coming up for you, maybe it's coming up for someone else. But, just that exploration of how can we sometimes start to redefine it so that we don't sink into the heaviness or the heaviness or being chained to it. Not, and when it feels heavy and it's chained, we're chained down to it. We can't really, it's hard to begin to explore new options. We get so stuck in the one thing that we don't start seeing our creative power that can come out. And maybe part of that creative power can get a jump start through when we redefine it, when we look at it, maybe not in a way of judgment or comparison, but maybe as that experiment. And be like, oh, okay, this part here didn't really work, but there's one aspect of it actually I think really is good. And I need to keep that. So when we kind of settling our system down, settling the nervous system down, we can begin to sometimes see more clearly like what the answers may be that lay right there in front of us. But if our system is all activated and we're closed in and stressed and cursing or whatever, right, then we're not going to see too well. So, yeah. So I hope this finds everyone today. I wish you all a beautiful day. Light reminder, love to see you tomorrow night here at 7:30 for the sound healing. Anna would love to see you if you want to come in and join her at 1 o'clock tomorrow. Love to see everyone on Friday or coming in for the Saturday Soul Saturday. And just a light reminder to keep that December 16th with the holiday party. Put that onto your calendar. Love to see you all down here. And have a beautiful day.